Okay, UFC 143. There's been a lot of so-called controversy. A lot of people have been saying that Diaz beat Condit in that fight. Now I've just watched the fight just now. Just finished watching the fight again for the second time, and personally, I scored it 4, possibly 5 rounds to Condit. Basically, people were saying that Diaz was coming forward the whole time, but Condit got him with a lot more strikes. Even though Diaz was coming forward, which is, it's to be expected in a fight. Someone's got to come forward. You can't both come forward at the same time. Condit did what he needed to do. He was taking angles. The only reason why Condit wasn't coming forward is because Condit was coming forward in a smart way. He was coming forward and then coming back. He was in and out. He didn't have to chase him down, because when he came in, he did what he needed to do and came out. But because Diaz couldn't do what he needed to do, he was continually chasing Condit because he couldn't get close enough to hit him. That's basically why he was chasing him down, and you don't get no points for that, because you've got to fight intelligently, which is what Condit was doing. The whole time Condit was taking angles, he was using footwork, he was coming in and out. He hit Diaz with knees, elbows, punches, side kicks, front kicks. He hit him with the whole arsenal, and Diaz basically boxed with him. Actually, I've got the stats in front of me here. It says that Condit was 68 leg kicks, Diaz was 6 leg kicks. Total strikes for Condit was 159, Diaz was 117. Significant strikes for Condit was 151. Significant strikes for Diaz was 105. But I think also it's a testament to Diaz. To Condit's athletic capabilities and his form for that fight, because his movement all through the 5 rounds shows that he was in perfect shape for that fight. He never gassed out. He moved around the whole 5 rounds. Diaz probably could have done it, because everyone knows Diaz is always in good shape. The guy does triathlons. He swam to Alcatraz and back twice. But for some reason, if you watch the fight, Diaz was flat-footed the whole time. He was fighting like the new school boxers. The new school boxers these days fight a lot of flat-footed fights. They don't use no footwork. If you watch like the old school boxers, like Muhammad Ali against Cleveland, Big Cat Williams, or you watch like Marvin Hagler against Thomas Hearns, you watch Sugar Ray Leonard fights, you'll see them using a lot of footwork. They was all over the place, using the angles, moving in and out, fighting smartly. Because basically, as a fighter, you don't want to get hit, you just want to do the hitting, which is what Condit was doing. If you look at the amount of strikes he got compared to Diaz, he was doing what he needed to do too. I don't think there was any doubt that he won that fight. I could have actually scored that 5 rounds to to Condit, but because of the takedown at the end. But then again, at the end of the takedown, Carlos Condit turned him over and was giving him some ground and pound in the last few seconds. So it was Condit who had a takedown as well, because he flipped him over and got him out. So basically, I think Diaz never fought a smart fight. He just was hoping that Condit would come in his face and he could react. But Condit, I think Condit, if he was allowed, when I say allowed, I mean because he obviously had a game plan by his trainers and he had to stick to it. I say if he was allowed to to sit down on his punches, he might have knocked Diaz out, or he would have gave Diaz some serious damage, because everyone knows that Diaz is hard to knock out. But I think because he was moving, or he was coming in, hitting him and moving out, he couldn't get that power that he can generate, which has been seen in when he knocked out Dan Hardy, when he sat down on his punches and gave him that left hook. But fighting Diaz, he had to give the hook and move, so his game plan could clearly be seen was come in with combinations and come back out again. And he stuck to it. He stuck to it like a genius, and it worked. All props to him. But I think there's no reason for a rematch. Diaz is just crying over spilt milk. I think personally, also, if Diaz didn't say nothing about the decision, I think that no one would be having this outcry. I think the only reason why people are having this outcry is because they really want to see Diaz fight GSP. That's what it is. They want to see the villain fight GSP. Conduit and GSP ain't as exciting as Diaz and GSP. But I think it will be a good fight. I think it will be a good fight because both of them, GSP and Conduit, will come in with good game plans. I mean, they're both students of Greg Jackson, and Greg Jackson is the master of game plans. So even though GSP is not with Greg Jackson right now, Conduit's going to have a good. Well, they're both going to have an advantage because they've probably sparred together, trained together, and know what each other is capable of. But Jackson knows exactly GSP's strengths and weaknesses, and he'll be able to run Conduit through them. So, but I think GSP will probably, as he can be a complete chameleon sometimes, he will completely change his game plan to what they expect him to be doing. They probably expect him to come in with a lot of takedowns, and I think he won't even come with any takedowns. He'll just stand up the whole time, and all the training that Conduit's done for being on the floor will be useless in the fight. Getting back to Diaz and Conduit, I think there was no way that Diaz won that fight. I could barely give him one round. And for being an aggressor, you don't get no points for being an aggressor, because if you're being an aggressor and you're getting those shots off, it just means that you're not talented enough to hit the target. And even though Conduit was moving back and moving and taking angles, he was hitting the target. Diaz wasn't talented enough to come forward at speed or take angles and hit the target. Conduit fought a very intelligent fight, and he hit the target many times, and that's what fighting is about. And it wasn't like baby shots, which Diaz says, which Diaz actually is the champion of baby shots, because that's what he does. He does a lot of accumulated pitter-patter shots, but he couldn't get those pitter-patter shots off against Conduit. Conduit easily won that fight. There was no doubt about it. And like I said, he used the whole arsenal. He used the whole arsenal of an MMA fight. Diaz just tried to box with him and had 6 kicks. 6 kicks against 46 kicks. 46 leg kicks on the target. 6 kicks for Diaz. Come on, man. This is MMA. It's not boxing. He tried to fight that point scoring, boxing, boring fights you get these days, but Conduit was keeping it old school. It's keeping the footwork going, like how the old school boxers and fighters used to do. And if you watch like guys on their feet, they've had some good knockouts. I mean, Muhammad Ali, when he knocked out Cleveland Big Cat Williams, he was going backwards. He was going backwards shuffling backwards and knocked him out. So, yeah, I just think Diaz needs to move on and realise he needs to come into fights with game plans, and he needs to move. He needs to use the energy that he's got and not be flat-footed the whole fight. Alright people, see ya.